The alleged killer of Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, had his first day, at least that I've seen on video, in court in Utah. You can see it on screen there. And this is when the rubber meets the road, right? We've been talking a lot about the right-wing infighting, the Civil War, and the sides that are forming over this case. Kind of got your Candace side, and now your Erica Kirk Turning Point USA side. And they're clashing over the theories and the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination. And so as we get closer to a trial happening, we get closer to a lot of those questions being answered. I have a suspicion that people won't accept those answers still. I think they're still going to just go with whatever narrative they'd like to believe, but this will actually give us more clarity on all the things that people, and it's kind of like, all right, let's see. Because here, if this thing were fake, or if this person were being framed, or this guy's defense attorney would have every reason to demonstrate that. And the court would have to hear it out. And the judge has a job of operating this in a judicious way. And so here's some reporting on it, and then we'll check back in on what's going on over in the right wing on this subject.
Being delivered to this courthouse. Some of the doors are zip tied, so all types of measures being taken to make sure that this proceeding happens safely and securely today. Now, on the docket today, perhaps one of the most important issues, there was an October 24th hearing in which Judge Graff...
So a lot of people you can see on screen, I'll just describe for our podcast listeners, a lot of people took note of how he kind of has a grin on his face, kind of a jubilant spirit, which is a little chilling.
Determined Robinson will be allowed to wear civilian clothing in court, as you see on your screen right now, but he has to remain shackled. Now, also in that October 24th hearing, general security measures and other issues of fairness in this trial were discussed in a closed portion.
So there's the first that I've seen of video from him inside the courtroom. We'll keep up with that. And a lot of people have asked, like, there's so many acts of gun violence and killings and murder trials. Why is so much attention being paid to this? Why specifically directed at me? Why am I covering this so much more than kids killed in a school shooting, which we'll cover, or other cases of violence? And the reason is because this show is a political commentary, and then we also try to have like humor and stuff. Like that's the whole thing. And so this is a very politically relevant and consequential moment. And so that's why it's going to get a lot of attention. And that's why we'll keep up with it more than we do all these other acts of violence, is because of the political nature of it and how big of an event it is in this political world. Now, I referenced to you that we try, when appropriate, to bring humor into even very grim, dark, scary, sensitive subjects. This might be a little bit closer to the line than I'm used to going. But remember, what I now see my job as is, hello, we are in a dark world. Here's me trying to make you feel a little bit of joy here and there, despite us being in a dark world. And so hold that in mind as I say the next thing. This is a very serious, tragic subject. And it's hard to ignore the phenomenon that Tyler Robinson doesn't have the fangirls that Luigi Mangione has. And I think we know why. He tried to give his stare in the courtroom. He tried to imitate this, and he failed. And I find serious, but I'm saying it's kind of notable that he thought, I'm getting my stare. This is going to be the photo that gives me all the love letters from college girls. He failed. Both tragic, terrible, horrible. Didn't have the look. He didn't have the look. And I saw someone tweet, like, why do sometimes horrific acts of violence garner for the one who did it a fan base? And it's often because people wrongly agree with violence being the answer. And so through that lens, obviously a lot of people didn't like Charlie Kirk. I'd say despite the healthcare system being hated by everyone, it's not like people knew the United Healthcare CEO as well as Kirk. So you would think that in the twisted world we're in, you would have a lot of supporters, not just wrongly saying they support a murder, but like I don't mean fangirl, but like fan having a sexual connotation to it. You know how that happens with serial killers and stuff? You would think that given how Kirk was even more well-known and a lot of people didn't like him, that someone like Tyler Robinson would garner that reaction, and he's not garnering it, and I think we know why. He doesn't have it. And it's weird. It's just like mind-bending, right? Reportedly, Luigi's like living it up in prison. They love him. He's getting letters. He's getting pictures. You know what types of pictures? And he has a whole, there's a sexual nature to it too. If you look on Twitter, trust me. And I'm not seeing that with Tyler. Obviously, I've shown you examples of people violating my principle of being against acts of political violence. But that's different than like, oh my gosh, I want to marry you. Right? That's different. And he's not getting that from what I've seen. He should call Luigi and just get some advice on like what's the look. So will that stay in the show or not? I don't know. If you're seeing it now, it did. I'm trying to figure out, is there any place that we could go ha with something so tense is going, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have the charisma that would cause people to be like, oh, I want to have sex with a killer. Alleged killer. Also alleged killer. Alleged. But he thought he was getting his Luigi moment. Now, to give you a little bit more relief in these difficult times, a year ago yesterday, right? I was initially covering the Luigi Mangione case. And while I show you this, if you appreciate this show, by the way, anytime I denounce political violence, people unsubscribe. So click the subscribe button if you want to counteract that. The way we proceed with change is through peaceful means. But please do click the subscribe button. It makes a big difference. But a year ago, I was initially covering this case right after we got news. And something a little bit crazy happened, which is I had a mental glitch and I forgot Luigi's name and I called him something else.
But that's not solved through violence. It's actually worked against through violence. But if this shooter, first name Mario, if I'm not mistaken, not Mario, Luigi. Nope. Mario and Luigi. Okay.
And we cut that out of the show, obviously, because it was humiliating. And we have held on to that clip for a year. Because it is, people go, you can't, that is funny that I messed it up. And then also, I don't know if there's like anything offensive about me picking that name, but it's like Jaden today's dressed because we're having your favorite character party later as Mario. And so in my head, my brain just went, what was the name? It was something Luigi Mario. And I said Mario. And I said Mario. And then we cut it out and you'll never saw that. You never saw it until today. Those are what our outtakes look like. And it was such a serious subject that you could see me like having to get back serious, but it was funny that I messed up the name in that particular way. Okay. Not the courtroom pick he was hoping for. Is all I'm saying.
People wanting to be...
Whoop. Now we have Benny Johnson.
What's up, guys? It's Benny.
And we move back to the infighting that's going on. And Benny is now on the Erica Kirk side against the Candace side. And his message is that if Candace continues doing what she's doing, that will lose Republicans the midterms. And Candace's response was, I don't care about the midterms, which, if you believed what she believed, which is wild, but if you did, why would you vote for Republicans? If you believe that like the Trump administration was in on it, why would you support Trump-backed candidates? So then she said, we don't care. And Benny's saying you should care. And it's fascinating because obviously I've explained to you all the reasons that Candace is going wild, but this is such a strange way to make the argument on Benny's part, which is to list off all these terrible things Democrats will do if they get back into power. And like, let's see how convincing we find it.
People wanting to be edgelords, saying, we don't care about the midterms, we don't care about Trump, we don't care about the Republicans.
Say her name! They all don't say her name. It's so weird. Say it. Candace Owens is trying to be an edgelord and saying she doesn't care about the midterms. Which, by the way, Candace fans, if you're right wing and you would have otherwise voted for Republicans, she's right. You should not care about the midterms. But everyone else, because I know there's this new brand of like Libby Candace fans. Have you seen the body of work she's done? Oh my gosh. Okay, but like we just talked about Tim Pool, so it's still on my mind. She was as aggressive against Ukraine as Tim Pool is. Like she was that right wing. Like Zelensky sucks. I hate him. And and maybe I don't want to misquote her. My point is she doesn't care about being on the correct side on every issue like you and I do. Like actually wanting to do globally and in our country what is in the interest of humanity, humanitarian priorities, decency and dignity. Doesn't care, doesn't know. Doesn't know enough to care, doesn't care. Has taken the wrong position on almost everything. So I know some of you still like to get wound up with the theories. They're fascinating, right? But if you're liberal and you are a fan, then do care about the midterms. If you're Republican, you're a fan, don't. And she's correct about that. I guess is what I'm saying.
People wanting to be edgelords, saying, we don't care about the midterms, we don't care about Trump, we don't care about the Republican Party. Everything's in collapse, everything's in flames, everything's over, it's so over, it's a total black pill, and I'm sick of it, honestly. Like, do you understand the alternative? You understand what will happen as soon as the left takes power?
Why are you speaking like that? And just so you know, I feel like you guys are going to be, I want you to hear me. I don't mean that like the only issue that matters is Ukraine. Obviously not. Obviously not. I'm just saying that was just on my mind from the last segment. So remember, like she was a partisan hack for the longest time. And now her new niche is, I'm a rebel and I'm saying that everyone was in on it. But if you're being convinced by that, I would encourage you to see how honest you find. I get if you're right wing, you go, well, I mean, she's been with me for a while, so maybe she's right now. I don't get the left wingers. It's confusing me. Like, in her world, all of our priorities would be demolished, at least judging her body of work. Okay.
They'll nuke the filibuster.
Not all of our priorities, a lot of our priorities. She wanted Trump to get in until now. Now she doesn't, but she did for a long time. What kind of person who actually knows enough about politics to understand what's going on lobbies hard for MAGA through much of their career just because now she has a new little niche she is finding very lucrative doesn't mean that underlying misunderstanding of the world that would lead you to that type of activism for so long isn't still there. Okay.
They'll add 12 new Supreme Court justices. There'll never be another victor in the Supreme Court. They'll do unlimited vote by mail and vote by phone. That's what they want to do in California. They want to do vote by phone. They want to lower the voting age to 16. They want to let every single illegal alien vote, and that'll happen because They'll naturalize 30 million criminal aliens that are
So somehow the Democrats, if they win the midterms, are going to do all of this, even though Trump has veto power. Trump's just going to sign all those things into law? You do remember how the government works, Benny.
here right now illegally. Then they'll add, again, 2 more Senate seats by making D.C. a state. D.C. is so dysfunctional. It is like a Somalian terrorist zone. It's like Mogadishu. Puerto Rico, they'll...
I thought Trump made DC great again. So this is his fear-mongering thing. If they win the midterms, they'll do all these scary things, which some of them are awesome, but they'll do all these scary things that most of what he said they don't even want to do and they wouldn't want to do. But somehow they'll do it even though Trump has veto power.
do the same thing. And then they'll pack the Senate, they'll pack the court, and they'll make it so that Republicans will never win an election ever again. Not only that, they'll trans the kids, they'll make it mandatory.
Yeah, that's true.
That
What?
you have transgender bathrooms, men and women's sports.
Can I say something? Biden was president with a Democratic House and Senate, and he didn't make it mandatory for men to be women's sports, to use their phrasing. Number 2, what does it mean to trans the kids? Number 3, you don't even know what your talking points are. What do you mean a transgender bathroom? They're going to make the whole debate is that trans people are going in the bathroom that aligns with their gender identity. It's not like making new trans bathrooms where it's like the Democrats, according to Vinny, want to make all of us go into bathrooms where either stalls have been made out of urinals or urinals have been made out of stalls. Trans bathrooms. Whew. Thank you, Vinny. We needed a laugh. That was good. Do you get it? Did you just get it? He just got it. It's pretty good. Takes an advanced sense of humor. Oh gosh, this little stall used to be a urinal, but it wanted to be a stall. It's life. Okay. Moving forward.